All right, that's it. We're live. Hey there, folks. How are you? Good to see you. I'm here with my
Good
brother
morning,
Ben.
everyone.
I
How
already
are
see
we?
we
Let us
got.
know. Let us know. Tell us you're alive. Tell us you're ready to paint. Whatever you're doing out there, ready to enjoy some coffee and watch some painting.
We got Flick Brush online. Hi, hi there, Flick Brush. Like the
Flick
name.
brush. It's a good
Yeah,
name, Flick brush.
yeah, I like that.
I've seen
I can
Mural
flick a
Joe
brush.
do a little flick brush in his
Yeah, I
day.
can flick a brush. I can do it. Here, let's see if we still got it. It's been a long time since I've tried those tricks.
Dude,
All right. It's a,
I remember making a
baby.
pretty rad video of Joe doing some flick brush.
Hi. Whoop. Oh, I can flick that
That's
brush.
it. You guys don't need a video of it. You can just watch him do it here live.
I do my best. I actually practiced that. I'm so obsessed with trying to do the next cool trick. I'd be on a job site where I was supposed to be making money and I'm practicing spinning the brush, dropping it on the floor, practicing.
And the thing is, they probably enjoyed watching you do that. Maybe that was with
Yeah,
how little money you were getting paid. It was debatable whether you should be juggling brushes or trying to paint a wall.
exactly. Yeah, that's right. And, there was probably a home security system that caught it all as I was
Yeah,
alone in the house. They're like,
maybe in the corner
what
of
is
the
this
internet
guy?
somewhere, there's like a video. Painter juggles brushes on lunch break.
Yeah.
This is the problem with America.
Yeah, right. This is the problem with
And then you
America.
see Mural Joe over there. Yes, got it.
That's it. Yeah. It's the
Hey,
pursuit of
what up?
awesome.
What up, Sharon from Cali?
Yeah,
Feels you
all right. We
down
got
here
people
in
showing
Long
up.
Beach myself.
Welcome.
Great to see ya.
Thanks
Raymond,
for.
Mavis, hello, hello.
All right.
And
Good
then
morning. Good
the other
morning.
10 people out there just being wallflowers.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks,
Sweet.
thanks for hanging out. It's good to see you
That's good.
guys.
We don't have an agenda this morning. What are we going to do for content?
Um, this morning, we're going to paint or draw.
He's got an answer.
Uh, we're going to paint or draw something really
Awesome.
relevant to the
Relevant.
audience's
Yeah.
lives
Okay.
because they need to care about what you're doing. Because if they don't care, then they just go
That's
somewhere
it.
else.
So, like last
So
week, story. You got to have
yeah,
some kind of story for people to care.
yeah. And so Raymond loves clouds.
I
Always a
like clouds.
banger.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
cloud game is next to none.
Thanks.
Um,
Thanks. Let's start
very
with
quick.
clouds.
It's very quick
Yeah.
to do clouds.
It is. It's so quick.
Here's a good question:
Yeah.
which of the forms of water, cloud, bead, wave, glassy, which of these forms of water do you enjoy painting the most?
Ooh, great question. I would go with oh,
Haze,
man,
all the
that's
forms
a
of
tough one.
water. What's your favorite?
I
Oh, white, waterfall.
I think I really enjoy the sharp edges of something in beaded form, like the detailed
Yeah,
curling of a wave where you really get down, where it's like, I'm going to make it like a frozen slow-mo frame,
yeah,
like a single frame. And I want to see the individual beads stretching
yeah,
out because I like analyzing the anatomy of what should it look like as it's moving in such a way. And
yeah,
then
yeah,
adding the light to capture the three-dimensional formatting light coming through it's fun. It's like a building. I think I get the most satisfying feeling of building when I do that. It's like a kid with Legos, like we're gonna
yeah,
build this,
yeah,
put this on this.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
funny.
Um, One of these days, I'm gonna get like what's called a phantom camera, slow motion camera.
All
Most of the
right.
slow motion that you see out there is like 120 frames per second. Maybe like 60
Yeah.
frames per second. Phantom does like 2,000 frames per second, right?
Whoa. So
Ridiculous
you can
slow.
is that one of the cameras that can do lightning bolts?
Yeah, yeah. So
Like you can
what I'm
actually
gonna
see it
do?
forming?
I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna have like it'll be like a kayaker or whatever, or somebody jumping into some water. Mural Joe's jumping into some river somewhere,
Okay.
and the water is exploding, and I want to catch like an orb of water where the surface tension has held this orb of water together, and it's just going across the screen.
Yeah,
Dude.
makes that noise.
Oh yeah, that would be the shot. That would be
Yeah.
the shot to see water in that way. I'm with you
Yeah.
on that.
Is that always added in when you see slow-mo videos, you know, and you see something moving and pulsing just like you described, but if you stop and think about it logically for a moment, you're like, wait a minute, we're not going to hear sound from that thing that weighs less than a fraction of an ounce.
Yeah, right.
You know, so is that always just added in soundtrack?
Oh yeah, like as opposed to it being captured practically,
Captured
like,
somehow, yeah.
because
yeah.
it happened that way.
Yeah, because something actually, yeah.
No, yeah, it's always finessed.
Yeah.
You know, they say Hollywood are the best liars in the world.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And
they tell wonderfully tasty falsehoods.
Yeah, right. Because appealing to, you know, I was just listening to a presentation on the craft of like deceiving, the craft of lying, deceiving is, you know, it always is appealing to preconceived expectations. It always appeals to preset expectations. So you know, this was a podcast on being deceived, being with con games, you know, and in the process that leads an intelligent mind down a road of believing a false thing. It was really interesting. You know, I liked it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
people become experts.
Yeah, humans are very impressionable beings. What's up, Leanne Triple? Good morning.
Hey.
To you as well.
Another.
Also, Jeannie likes trees. So like Raymond's into clouds, Jeannie's into trees.
Okay.
I think I can see where this is going.
It's a landscape morning, right?
It sounds landscapey.
Here's something I think is
you know,
worth, you know, fun about
that. Oh, landscapes.
There was a time when I was I hated landscapes as a developing young artist. The idea of a landscape felt so terribly off-putting to me because I didn't have tools. I wasn't to that place where I was making a world that my imagination could go into. It was a chore. It was just nothing but a chore. And so I wanted to focus on like the close-up shapes and curves, lines, colors that I enjoyed in an object. But the daunting task of a million textures in a whole environment it was overwhelming, you know. So as years go by and you start to see just how much of it is that whole storytelling game, you know, the being a good liar. I painted a million pine needles, you know, you used a technique.
Yeah.
So
good morning, Lisa Joe.
Hey, welcome. Oh, there's my paint tray.
To the paint room.
That's it. Hey, you just named it. We didn't have a name for it, but I wonder if that'll catch on. Paint room. I bet somebody already owns that. That's going to be the problem with that one, Ben. Okay. Black.
Oh, Leanne,
yellow,
Leanne got
white,
to go to
orange.
a local artists collective last night for an open house, which was very fun. They got to try watercolor for the first time.
Nice. That sounds like a good time. Watercolor. How did it go? I'm curious. Leanne has already, Leanne's already done some watercolor. I thought she's got some pretty cool looking. I've seen some of her work in the past. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she just had that feel, but it wasn't truly the watercolor. So I'm curious how it went. I'd like to know how trying it for the first time went.
There's a link in the description of this video that would be good if you'd like to share what you got, Leanne. Go ahead and upload it to that link there. Jules, what's up? What's up?
All right. We got some repeat visitors. That means we didn't chase everybody away. That's good news.
Yeah. Well, Leanne says that so far only acrylics. They've only worked with acrylics.
Oh, okay. Okay, nice. I guess I remembered incorrectly there. So here's something I find interesting about clouds. See how I have a gray background, and this cloud, it really doesn't look too bad. Like this color setup already, it's like, okay, that kind of feels like a hazy sky, glowing cloud. It's got a nice feel. So I think I did about 1 million clouds before I started catching on to this problem that I kept encountering. And that was when I would really try to get an intense blue sky, a beautiful blue sky. But I'm going to suggest that the issue is built-in expectations. You know, we have expectations of the intensity of, let's say, intensity as in color saturation, how much color versus how much gray. So this is a very gray sky. So when I increase the saturation of this blue, well, that causes the relative saturation of my glowing clouds to go down. And that's tricky business, because you feel like it's an absolute thing. When you hit the canvas with the bright color, you feel like this is a somewhat absolute thing, this bright color, but this is bright relative. It's intensely orange relative to this gray. So then when I started making the sky too vibrant, the clouds looked like paint and not like light. This was a repeating problem. And it was, it was
what's
something
interesting
really
is I was just doing some color correcting the other day on some portrait work, like footage of people's faces, and the footage came out with their skin looking very yellow.
Okay. All right.
The adjustment I was making was moving the mid tones from yellow to more blue, more like cyan.
Okay. Ooh.
So,
oh, man.
I was like, well, what's the amount that I need to do this? How much is enough? How much is too much? Right?
Yeah.
The persistent question. And so it actually started to look gray when it was the amount that I needed, because it had neutralized that yellow by just pulling it towards blue. And so I knew that was the sweet spot, because then I could go to my overall saturation and then add saturation now that it was neutralized in its hue,
Well, we can all imagine taking the entire image. When you color grade the entire image, that doesn't happen, because everything changes together. It just, the image continues to make sense regardless of how intensely colored it is. But what you're describing is that the desaturated midtone started to not feel natural. It started to not make sense in the scheme of the picture. And that's where it's how it looks next to the other things, because you're changing how they compare to each other instead of changing the picture altogether, right? So in painting, I run into
Arnaldo. Arnaldo. Yeah.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you how to say his name. I'm gonna help you with that name.
From Brazil. What up?
Oh yeah, Arnaldo.
Oh, you know what, man? I just saw Arnaldo. I just saw the coolest thing on the internet. In the little phone scrolly thing everybody's got in their pockets. There was this video clip somebody took of a rock and roll concert, we'll call it. That was System of a Down playing yesterday in Brazil. And it was like it was just wall to wall chaos. It looked like some Armageddon stuff, like people with like fires out in the crowd, and people like running in circles around open flame, people spitting fire into the sky, and just
just whatever feels,
smoke in the air.
Yeah.
And then there's a band in the middle of it that's just like, yes, we will rise.
Yeah.
And everybody's like intoxicated on
it. Doesn't need to make sense, it just needs to feel good.
Yeah, that's this collective emotional, energetic experience,
Yeah.
And that happened in Brazil. I was like, gosh, man, Brazil seems cool. I gotta hang with these Brazilians.
Yeah.
I've only known one other guy from Brazil, and he was cool too,
Good old Danny Z on Instagram.
Yeah. Danny Z.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, I miss him. We got to get him back here to Arizona. He's the one that helped me do that big old farmer's market scene on 4th Street.
That's right.
All right, purple and yellow. I love it. Contrast never disappoints me. This something kind of gold, just throw some purple on it. Boom, right there. We'll just dig a hole in this cloud right now. Like this.
So Leanne's telling us about her experience doing watercolor.
Okay. Okay, I want to hear that.
But it soon became too saturated with color. They persisted with the first paint load on their brush, and they think that made it too saturated. So
okay. Right, because watercolor, it's hard. Yeah, you can't turn around with watercolor.
Do it again, they'd use more water. You know?
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's a tough thing. I've run into that before because you can't like add the white paper again with watercolor. You're relying on that white backdrop to shine through all your colors. So once you get it covered up too much, you gotta.
Yeah, Joe, what is interesting about what you're doing right now that Leanne points out is mixing your colors right on the canvas.
Yeah, all right. Cool. Thanks. Glad you noticed that. That's a technique I especially enjoy for the purpose of creativity. It's not always the best, admittedly, for execution, but for creativity, it's fantastic. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make this like a deep spot. So see, I desaturate it and make it less colorful as it goes back toward this background color. Start adding that in. And you see that just kind of gradually makes a deep spot in the cloud. And then I can put layers. We'll get more depth in this by putting transitions that are halfway between. So like that's kind of halfway between this and that. And so this will gradually pull those into that thing. We'll build like a playground of clouds in here. We want to make something that's like you want to go up there and play in it for a while. We'll make this like
clouds that look like you can just get like a handful of them, throw them around.
Yeah.
Yeah,
totally. Yeah,
jump off of a roof and land in them and just be totally good.
Yeah, man, they're the best. When I was a kid, we'd be driving around and I'd be looking out the window. That's the moments when I remembered the most during driving. Maybe that's because when, as a child, you look and you ponder a lot while you're driving.
What's my brain gonna do? Well, let's see.
Yeah,
let's look at these clouds.
I'd look at the clouds, and I would always. It was always a similar thing. I'd kind of drift away into, what if I could go up there and jump around, explore that world, be a world.
Yeah. I always imagined like being on a skateboard or a snowboard or a bike or whatever, just like riding in and out of the clouds, jumping from cloud to cloud, treating them like bike jumps and landings and things.
Yeah.
I was out there just X Games in the clouds.
That's it. Yeah. I saw a mural. Local artist did a mural like that. They did some X Game, like a character on a snowboard, but they're going down clouds. A character on different things, skis, snowboard, a climber. They did a climber going. It's just everything though was in the clouds. It was really artistic. It was a very cool vibe. Guy named Sky Black. You could probably find it online if you looked up that name. Okay, so I'm just put my sky colors to kind of pull those clouds back, not worrying too much about exactly what's what. Another valuable thing is I do tend to work real light. And maybe it's just instinct because they're clouds, and I know I'm going to use a much darker color in the rest of the picture, but you can always shine. I guess my point is you can always shine a brighter light on your picture. So not being afraid of the bold color. No, it's different than watercolor. We're not talking about Leanne's experience with watercolor. You definitely got to be careful as you darken because you can't turn around. But here, I've found that using the bold colors, keeping the painting dark until I'm ready to put my final highlights in, it really works to my advantage. That really works out, because then the highlights just pop. They're great. And I can have colorful highlights instead of white highlights, because the painting's dark enough to let them be highlights. Let's put some of that in there.
Man, it's nice to have you guys here watching and joining in on the conversation so that we can get the real questions out there, like this one. Is it true that paints are poisonous?
Yes, it's true. That is in fact true. Yeah, poisonous like car exhaust. What are you going to do? I guess each person has to decide how they're going to handle that.
Yeah, Silo Ain Kazul just needs to know if it's true that paints are poisonous.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say on a technical basis,
I mean,
yes.
what do you get poisoned by touching or inhaling? They want to know.
Oh, ingesting. I'm going to say ingesting. Water-based paints are among the most friendly. Modern water-based paint is increasingly engineered to have fewer, we call them volatile organic compounds, VOCs. The fumes that come out, as it's drying. They are.
Don't drink. I wouldn't drink them either. Don't drink paints.
You just don't. Yeah.
Drink paint.
Yeah. My daughter did. She drank some oil-based paint. That was an ER visit. I've told that story. So she bought me this mug, as a gift. She bought me that.
I've never seen that mug before.
Yeah, it's good. I keep it in the studio.
Oh my gosh.
That happened when she was 2.5 years old, and thank God she could talk.
She was 2.5.
Yeah, and she came over flapping her hands. Mommy, Daddy, I drank paint. And if she would not have said that, we would have stood around for another minute or two trying to figure out what was the emergency, why she's acting weird. But she told us, and I called 911 so fast, it was instant reaction. It was a mistake. I left, there was oil-based paint, and I used a drinking cup to wash my brushes. And then I was distracted helping carrying groceries. I put it on a coffee table, and she just thought it was chocolate milk. That's how it happened. But the good news is she graduated college yesterday. She's doing great.
I was going to say, and she's the brightest bulb in the building, man.
That's it.
College.
Yeah. Yep. Very thankful. Life did not take a bad turn that day.
Was I there? I think I was there that day.
Were you? You could have been in Flagstaff. You weren't at the house. I know that, but it was.
No? Oh, anyways.
I don't think so, no.
But no. It seems so much like yesterday.
Yeah. Man, that was a perspective changer. I suddenly felt a much deeper sense of empathy for parents that have gone through tragic things, because you think you got all your ducks in a row. You're like, well, we're going to do it right. We're not going to be careless. We're not. And then life throws a curveball that you're not quick enough to hit.
Hey, man. But we got paint and canvas. Let's switch out the bidet over there to number B.
I know what you're saying. I can interpret that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's do this. So I'm keeping my sky very gray. Now, one reason is because it's expected to naturally occur that way. And, in a sunset sky, it would be common. I'll just say it would be common to see not so intensely blue sky. It's not that it doesn't happen. It's just that it would be common to see something a lot more grayish in the area that's not illuminated by cloud. So you see, I can make this a darker gray. Let's go ahead and add we'll add a little blue color to it here. Let's see what happens if we go purple. I got some blue in my little tube here. Let me grab this.
Man, I just love when it's that time of day when you got your sun that's low in the sky and it's kind of coming in from the side, and you have the blue of the atmosphere overhead. So you got orange light from the side.
Oh, right, I got you. Yeah.
Blue light right
You know,
over the
without,
top of everything.
you know
Gosh,
what?
that just lights stuff in such a gorgeous way every time. Just like a big blue diffusion
Right.
with just an orange highlight blasting right through the side of it. It's so beautiful.
Looks
And
awesome.
nature
Yeah.
does it every single day, twice. You know, can't get enough.
Yeah. When you're on a canvas, you have to pick what you're, you have a really wide angle with your natural eyes. You're looking at the whole sky, and you kind of take it in at the same time. If you try to squeeze that all on this angle is kind of looking out at the horizon, and that's not where that intense blue color happens. So it's a real trick. If you're on a big mural, it lends itself to that wide angle real well, because as you go up the wall, you just keep going to the bluer sky. But when you do a smaller picture, I started to notice, man, it looks weird when I'm using my more intense blue behind these bold colors. And so you can make a wide angle, but it ends up being exactly that. You have to understand a wide angle needs to have many, many clouds as you shrink down to that horizon, where you're taking a big image and making it tiny so that you can make the top of the picture the overhead sky, and then you make a gradient. It does look good to do a gradient. Let's do it. Let's go like this. Let's put lighter color. See, this looks pretty good with an amount of color. I feel like as I add this bit of, I added a bit more blue, you can see, to my sky, but not so much more. Like this is the bluest part, and I'm not going to want to go more than that. You can see how this is looking. As I brighten this starts to look like a darker, muddier color, like and it'll eventually just look like orange paint if this gets real bright and intense. So the way I maintain the look of light is by making sure that I keep my sky dark enough and muted enough, desaturated, or we'll just say gray enough to keep it in layman's terms, So I'll make this my lightest color. I'll kind of put a glow around this area. Then I'll darken as I go up. Your gradients are powerful things. We'll use a gradient like this. We'll darken it as we go up there. Get some darker blue there. That's a little bit intense. Let's put some black in it. I don't like that real intense blue. See how it starts to develop kind of a cartoony feel to it as it gets that intense blue. It's not because the sky can't be that blue. It's because the relationship of that amount of blue compared to the color in the clouds. I want my clouds to be like the main attention getters in my picture. There we go. So now we've got a gradient that has a nicer flow to it.
That cloud at the top left looks kind of like a French croissant.
I like how you pronounce that. Nice.
Yeah, that's how you
say that. Put a little bit of jelly dripping out of it or something.
Yeah, like if maybe some chocolate got melted in there, some cheese got melted in there. I don't know.
Okay. Let's have a little fun. Here's something with clouds. Low altitude is the reddest color. That's a tip you can rely on. So we can put a low altitude.
Low altitude is the reddest color.
That's it.
What?
Pretty much all the time.
Low altitude. Oh, so clouds that are close to the Earth's surface.
That's right. So you when the sunset comes across the sky, I'll just put my hands here. So, the sunset comes across the sky. It's like a prism. The rays are coming across. Well, the red light is at the bottom of that. Let's say it's a form of refraction. It's separating the colors. And the further it goes, the more it separates. So the red happens at the bottom of the sun rays coming across.
I like it.
And it goes red, orange, yellow, and then all of the spectrum is present as you go up. It adds more and more of the spectrum as you go up, so it doesn't go red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet.
It goes. Yeah, the sun is just a white light getting refracted through our atmosphere.
That's it, yeah. And so you can test me on this. You can go out today, or if it's sunset where you're watching from, you can go look. That reddest color will be the clouds that are down at the lowest elevation, because they're in the And then when they get below that, they go back to like the blue sky color. They lose their color altogether. So you can make a very believable sunset quickly by understanding that pattern, that we get more gold as we go higher elevation, we get more red. So I'm putting a low layer in the foreground here in front of the others. I'm going to make a real, my color got all dirtied up with the sky color, so I'm trying to adjust as I go. So we'll make a real reddish colored cloud, just going right in front of these others. I just used my orange. I've got a very reddish colored orange that lends itself to this pretty well. I would say this setup is kind of like we've got the sun maybe at our backs. We're looking up at a scene and the sun is like shining toward that, maybe it is some kind of, I don't know if it's left or right. I threw it together quick, so I was just kind of seeing what came out.
Yeah.
Just go like this. There we go. Lower elevation clouds. I just made them redder, then just intersect right across there. Let's put another one.
Nice. Loch Ness Monster. The red Loch Ness Monster.
Is that what it is? Yeah. You're painting clouds when you start to see things. Yeah. You're like, yeah, now we're painting clouds. This is it.
Inspirational shapes there, man.
Yeah. Nice. That's good. All right. So let's put this in. I'd say we're about ready to scoot on to a different part of the picture after I get these.
Yeah, well, CeeLo also, after learning that paints are indeed poisonous, is also curious about why you don't paint people more.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That was a really good way you presented that, because I felt like we were segueing from poisonous paints. And I'm not connecting with the jump in reasoning. Yeah, I got it.
CeeLo's got some questions for you, Joe.
That's good. I love the questions. Thank you. Yeah, that's a great question. Why don't I paint people more? Because it's really just the practical aspect of doing what there is demand for. I am pretty busy with requests to do landscapes on people's walls. I stay employed as a muralist working in homes, and most of those murals are not people. It's not. There are some people, like I did a Peter Pan mural recently where they're cartoon people. I had some fun with the mermaids, made those a little bit more lifelike, but they were the size of my finger in the mural.
Yeah, finger-sized mermaids are not as fun as bigger ones.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Imagine if you went to get you a mermaid at the fish store, and they're like, well, you can get the little finger-sized ones here in the little tank, or you can get like the big ones over here in this other.
Getting mermaids at the fish store.
The water treatment is a nightmare, but
that'd be a good
unparalleled beauty, guys. Unparalleled beauty.
No, that's a good painting for the future, is someone at a fish store looking at mermaids in the tank.
Trying to decide between the guppy-sized ones or the matured ones that are ready to go.
Yeah.
Full beauty.
Yeah. That'd be good.
No less than 10-foot long hair.
Yeah.
That's just the guy mermaids.
Yeah. And there's rules, there are these unspoken rules, because no one knows how to justify them, but there are unspoken rules about what can be used as food for another animal and what cannot. And it truly is based on cuteness. You cannot buy
an very arbitrary. I've found it's very confusing.
You can't buy an angelfish as a feeder for your piranhas. That's against the rules, but no one posts that rule.
You're a psychopath. You'll feed angelfish to your snake.
Our brother Pete, he is notorious for poking at these. If he senses a unspoken rule or some discrepancy,
Pete isn't co-hosting this show right now.
he'd find some bear to, so he goes into a pet store I should have him tell the story. He goes into a pet store and he wants to buy, like, he purposely went to some of the more beautiful looking goldfish and he's like, oh, I'm just buying it for my snake. and, and he got into an argument with the employee. She said, oh, these aren't feeder fish. No, we don't sell them. He's like, what's it to you if I want my snake to have a gourmet meal? What does it matter to you?
I like my animals to eat art just like we do.
Yeah. Who are you to say what animals? And so then you have like the little mice and the rats that are commonly just heartlessly killed, frozen, drowned so that they can be food. But then if you try to do it to a hamster, it's a problem. You know?
Yeah. No, it got cute enough. It's like, leave your hands off of that one, guys.
So where I'm going with this is there needs to be a sign on the mermaid tank that says not for food.
Not for food.
These are not feeders. Not feeders.
Psychopaths.
Yeah. All right. There's a quick sunset set up.
Yep. Hey, Loming is accurately saying beautiful colors, maybe the golden hour. That is what
hey, all right, yeah. Yeah, golden hour. I like that. We're gonna put it just kind of happened this way. I didn't do it on purpose, but since it's become staged as though the sun is behind me, I'm gonna continue with that lighting scenario in my picture, which means that I'm going to put a little bit. I'm not going to use the usual lighter. Better that I paint this instead of talk about it. I'm going to make the faces of my hills. I'm going to put hills wherever it faces toward me. I'll put more intense yellow light. Wherever it tips away, I'll have a gradient that kind of darkens, and that will be unique to this angle because normally I would make the top edge the lighter color as it's facing up toward the sky, but it's kind of fun to toy around with this color. What do you call it? What do you
color space?
Color space, yeah. This palette. What do you call the gamut of color you're using?
Theme.
Yeah, this color thing, or this lighting scenario where I've chosen the direction. What do you call the environment? Lighting environment. How about that?
There you go. I'll take that.
Yeah, it refers to the direction and color I've chosen, the angles of lighting. So here, see, I'm using a more gray color there because this is that angle of my hill that's facing up. Now I'm going to swoop it down, so I'll add my yellower grass color.
Yeah. Hey, Joe, how do you feel about digital art?
I love it. It's cool. It's I think the more mediums you can get your hands in, the better. I'd try everything, because what one has, the other does not, and you end up cross-referencing things, and it validates certain patterns as true. That because when you see something crossing into another medium, it's not the medium that makes the look. That you're onto something else, some relationship of lines, colors, shapes. And that's a cool thing because I think that's when you're like really expanding your what would you say? Really expanding your tools, your understanding, See, here we go. We're gonna make it darker. We're struggling with the worst.
Expanding your stuff.
That's really well said.
Yeah.
It's your tool belt.
You want to be accurate in your vocabulary.
Yeah. I'm going to make a distant, since my atmosphere is, I want heavy atmosphere. And so I'm going to start using a lot of purple to take these greens back to a much, gradually bend these greens to a more reddish color. This purple, maybe some orange, let's see what happens. No, I don't feel, maybe it'll be good. This is experimentation. It's just trying to get like a dollar version of the sky. Okay. These are going to be my most distant hills, and I'm making them like a little purple because of all the red light that might be coming out of that sky. I'm going to just try to set the mood real strong. Heavy atmosphere is a great way to, I think, to have an overwhelming mood to your lighting. Like the lighting feels.
You know, I'm curious about this theory I got about atmosphere in the air.
All right.
Like, we're trying to take a two-dimensional surface, which is your canvas or your screen.
Yeah. Okay.
And we're trying to convince your brain that this is actually a three-dimensional thing.
Yeah.
You can see into this world. It has
Yeah.
depth now too. So that's your task that
Okay.
you're ever after, among other things. But
yeah.
We can perceive depth as people when atmosphere makes things more blurry or more the color of the atmosphere, because that implies they're further and further from us.
Okay.
Right? Our minds have sorted that out. We see more atmosphere, we're like, oh, that's far away. You know?
Yeah.
We see less atmosphere, we think, oh, it's close. You know, and
Right.
it's weird to us when there's no atmosphere and faraway objects are very clear. And you're like, wow, I can see those mountains in the distance, right? So that seems unnatural. Or the inverse, there's so much atmosphere, we're like, oh, I can't even see the end of my hand in front of my face. It's so foggy.
Yeah.
Right? That feels unnatural. So I wonder if, you know, in cinema, we've talked about this before, you always add, or I mean, not always, but it's advantageous often to add atmosphere into your scene, because it tells the brain there's a more dramatic sense of depth in the space, because look at how fast stuff is affected by the fall off of like vanishing into atmosphere.
Well, when you know, my take on, well, one opinion that I have on this is that you lose one of your tools for perceiving depth when you move to a flat surface like a screen or a canvas. You lose the way your eyes use two angles to calculate, and so you have this immediate perception of distance as you look at your hand, as your two eyes are using whatever memory is built in on the angles and the focus. It goes away when you only use one eye, and so that's one component of, it's not the only component by a long shot, it's one component, and you lose that because both eyes are seeing the exact same image at the exact same, you know, it's gone. So adding atmosphere adds an element that may not be in the natural scene, but it's a giveaway. It's a depth giveaway when you add heavy atmosphere to a picture. It kind of forces the perception of something being far away when it gets buried in whatever colors are back here. That's my thinking on it.
Yeah, and CeeLo's saying here, with the thinky face emoji.
Yeah. Okay. I like it.
Air and water are mostly transparent, but still act like thin plastic, where further things look less saturated and pale. So probably I mean less saturated, more pale.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Well, you know, he's talking about, or she. Sorry, I don't. I don't know, but
maybe she. I'm going with she.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, what is that username? Tell me that username. CeeLo. I think what CeeLo is getting at is that how is the forgive me if I'm wrong, but maybe how is the effect so dramatic when they're just transparent things? But when we're talking about you know, like a whole bunch of kilometers, we're going far into the distance, we have a large mass. So when you look at a picture of the entire Earth, suddenly the ocean looks like it's solid, dense plastic. It's just a solid blue mass. There's no translucency to the ocean when you get far enough away, because the distance of translucency becomes something that's really tiny, right? So then when we get close up to an object, our distance that we can see of its translucent area is much bigger. So we have to treat water and air as solid masses. When we're putting a large landscape together, we want to treat them like solid masses. Okay. And I guess thinking about scale matters. When I'm doing a distant beach, I treat that differently than when I'm doing a distant beach versus close up. Versus close up, I have to think about the level of translucency that's maybe appropriate.
I could totally feel the reflection of the light from the sunset on the surface of those hills.
Look at that hard line kind of does it. It's almost like the face of a green wave, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's some glossy grass out there.
Yeah, that's an effect I unintentionally made, but it's worth looking at how what I did was I created the exact same pattern I would use on water, where I take the sky color, put it on the angle that's facing up. I take the deep color and put it on the angle that's facing toward me.
Sky though, so we can understand why the reflection works in the frame here. If you can just
right. Yeah, right.
Zoom out a little or tilt up.
What do you think? Right there. Yeah, you're on a little bit of a delay, so I moved up the camera there. Yeah, so I've got lots of reflection on that. So I could make that much softer to make it not look glossy. That is funny.
Looks great.
Okay, here's a grass technique for you. We're gonna go like this. We'll put some black, all right, and then we'll take some. Let me get plenty of yellow.
I want to go for a frolic over those hills. You know,
nice. Like that's exactly what.
There'll be some classical instruments. Somebody's playing a cello on one of those hills.
Oh, nice. Yeah, totally.
And I just want to go frolic through the hill, listening to the cello.
Yeah, that's good. I love that picture.
Or maybe like it's like a quintet. Yeah, a cello quintet. It's a wall of cello noise.
Nice. That's great. Okay, so if you look at this, the texture, if you go close up, I want you to see how, if I get way in
wants
here,
to frolic with me, Joe.
Okay,
it's not just me.
Yeah, let's go. I'm gonna zoom way in here so that you can see ever so slightly. There's like a black outline on this grass. I want to show you a really cool technique for grass, and the way the order you do the colors affects the look of it. So this was black and then yellow, and so as I'm dragging it up through here, there's a slightly darker border around each stroke as I drug the yellow on top of the black. So that one was, I'll do it again, black and then yellow like this, and I put the yellow down here and drug it up through like this. Well, I must have did it the other way because now I'm getting the opposite. So yellow is below black, and now it has the light outlines. So I must be wrong. This one, I must have put the black below the yellow. Here I did the yellow below the black. But see the difference? So this will be helpful for doing backlit grass. This will be more helpful for doing blades that don't have the yellow outline. So you can choose which one suits your needs best, or just throw them all together because they look cool either way. So this is a good technique.
From Seattle.
Nice. Got someone tuned in.
Jet Set Jay knows about some green grass.
Okay, sweet. Yeah.
Seattle.
Dude, I bet. Plenty of rain.
So much rain that people start to get sad.
Yeah, that's just
and they want to cry tears of their own to add to the rain that will not stop falling.
Yeah, right.
I would be up there in a heartbeat, man, if they would add maybe just like 2 months less of rain.
Yeah, if they would, the all-powerful they.
Yeah.
Whoever's in charge of the rain up there, they need to rethink the schedule.
But then all the softies just like me would go there too, and then it'd be a bummer. It'd be
a
major bummer. Yep, evergreen, Jet Set Jay calls it. We are the evergreen state.
Nice.
And CeeLo is announcing with sunglasses face, I am a woman, mainly into drawing portraits.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Avatar, which is like a geisha. Like if you're familiar with what a geisha is, like a Chinese geisha.
No, I don't know what that is. Tell me.
Those women that are like in very white makeup with like red accents, and they're very demure, and their job is to entertain dudes.
Ah, okay,
like,
okay.
They wear like these really satiny, glossy outfits, right? You've seen them, you know, and there's usually like a sitar playing nearby.
Yeah.
You know, they like whatever. It's a
so CeeLo is designing those kind of characters.
Ancient Chinese. CeeLo says ancient.
Oh, okay,
Chinese
cool.
Stuff.
All right, I got you. Designing those kinds of characters.
That's their avatar. That is their digital work.
Ah, okay, nice.
So I guess
I love doing people. You know,
some digital art.
I really enjoy doing human form. It's inspiring. It's fun. The curves, the lines, the emotional relating. You know, you draw
not
superheroes.
Hey, I was wrong. This is not a geisha. Apparently, many women in ancient China wear makeup like this on the record.
Oh, okay, got it. Good correction.
Thank you for that insight, CeeLo.
Yeah. Okay. All right, cool.
And then Jet Set says that's not rain up there in Seattle. It's usually just a lot of drizzle, which is
different. Totally different.
Dude, they get moss. It just grows on branches and trunks and stuff.
Yeah.
Moss.
Dude.
Like, you know how much water there's got to be in the atmosphere constantly for moss to thrive?
Yeah, just being around. Yeah, we don't. It's not like that in Arizona. It's kind of the opposite vibe.
In Arizona, I'm in Southern California. It's like, yeah.
We don't do moss. You know, when you go to a place, when you live in a dry place and you go to a humid place, it doesn't feel good to lay down that first night in a bed. It feels like someone dampened the sheets. It doesn't feel great. You know, when your body's all acclimated to it, I don't think you feel that. But it's like, dude, oh man, we're going to bed in wet blankets.
Oh yeah, it really feels like, right. Leanne says, like we say here on Vancouver Island, which is just next door to Seattle, we don't tan, we rust.
We don't tan, we rust. Same color. That's good. Color. You still get the color going. That's pretty good.
They get moss in their lawns up there.
Yeah.
She's saying, especially in the shady parts.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I don't understand how a wood anything can survive. Like
running around out there.
Yeah, totally. I don't understand how building materials survive. You know?
No, right? Houses.
Like how does it not just rot?
100 years. It's got whatever it's called when a thing breaks down into soil. It's slipping my mind. Decomposition. It's got decomposition ever knocking at its door.
Yeah.
Hey, Alan. Oh man, Alan, you said something interesting there. Why'd you delete it? Come on back now.
Let's give it a minute.
Maybe it needed to reword it. It was something.
Yeah.
It was something about how inspired they were feeling. But,
yeah. Okay, that's cool.
Oh, nice. It was a typo. Alan will hit us up in a minute. Good to hear from him, my guy. Nice. Hey, I'm watching that chat, you guys. I'm watching it. You got stuff to say? I'm watching that chat. Let's hear it.
All right. 3D grass. We're going to turn this into...
look like something I want to like drag the palm of my hand over.
Okay, nice. Here's how you do it. Look, 3D grass. We're going to go from the deepest to the shallowest. And it takes no special blending technique. It's just colors and values. So we're going to put the dirt. Okay. There's our dirt. That's our deepest color. Now we're going to take gray. I'll just use this as a palette for mixing over here. Our darker grayer grass is going to go next. Okay, we're just going to put a bunch of darker grayer blades. I'll just put some black and yellow in here, different angles. Now, as I go lower in my picture, I'm going to start making the angles go more random directions because it might just be a folded over grass blade. It might just be kind of like a half of a grass blade.
Joe paints grass with black and yellow. That's interesting.
Black and interesting. That's it. It makes a great green. Depending on what black and yellow you're using, you know, that makes a difference too. Okay, now we're going a little bit brighter. We're going to brighten it, bring it out toward the light. Okay, all kinds of different angles. As I go higher in the picture, I'll make it more vertical, higher in the picture, more like this up here, you know, the higher I go. And then when I get down lower in the picture, I start doing the more crisscrossed angles like this.
So while you guys are peeping this technique, Jet Set Jay says, you know, we used to say hope summer falls on a weekend this year up there in Seattle.
Nice.
Funny. And Alan's letting us know that he's getting pumped watching this video.
All right, man. Nice.
These videos always get him in the mood to paint. And
okay,
he's
sweet.
Working on a big war mural, and
cool.
About to go put in some hours. So he says
okay,
these videos
sweet.
Are better than coffee.
Dude, that's such a I wish I shared your enthusiasm. Coffee is definitely the better in my life. I'm saying that jokingly.
Coffee is, you know, Joe's just naturally high on painting and imagination. He needs that.
I'm joking. If I had to cut one out, it'd definitely be the coffee. Yeah. So, thank you. Great compliment. Yeah. I appreciate
Jet Set Jay's into what you're painting today, Joe.
Okay, nice.
It's like a grassy hill glistening in the setting sun is, sweet. In fact, fun to look at after all.
Hey, all right.
And 755 Media says this is wonderful with 2 exclamation points.
Sweet.
However, they omitted an apostrophe in I''M. Teaching kids, I'm teaching kids to paint landscape today. Another
nice
exclamation.
Okay.
Points. Way to go.
I just want to. Great. I'm happy to hear that. I just want to point out how I really randomized my directions, not really worrying about connections. You know, it really is just grass is so scrambled. It's just that gradual change from organized vertical to starting to go all different ways. And you can see how my light colors will start to resemble something you're looking down at rather than looking across the top. So those lighter grayer, I'm just adding white now, and those lighter colors kind of start to feel like folded over grass blades. And if you have the energy for it, you can find a specific blade, you know, like here's one that's real obvious. I'll just use this. You find a specific blade and say, oh, that looks like one that I could put this lighter, more white reflective color on and make it capture the sunlight, you know, like it's bent over and reflecting. So that happens without even trying. If you just put random little things in here, you know, you can just do this as kind of a base. And then as you see opportunity to put different things in there, maybe you want to put flowers or leaves. But I always like to do this first because it takes the workload off. It's getting that in place.
You're gonna love this technique that Lo Loming just suggested. Sometimes they use 2 different colors on the paintbrush, one on the left side and one on the other side.
What, dude? That's cool. That's some tricky stuff. I would like to see that. Make a video. Send it. I'll share it.
Let's see it, Lolo.
Yeah, I definitely want to see that. Yeah, I'm curious about
Lolo or Ming for short, like your friends. What do they call you? Lolo Ming? Lolo Ming?
Yeah. It's an interesting thing trying to figure out the usernames.
Where these things come from. You know, some of them I get, some of them are very sense.
But we can all relate to the runaround you get put through. You're like, I just want to make a YouTube channel. Can I please just get a similar? And then you try
like identify as something.
It asks you all these questions you weren't prepared to answer. You're like, okay, I guess I'm gonna be Joe Corn 53-0 farty pants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Third.
Yeah.
Squire.
Then everybody's like, whoa, where'd you get that username?
Username checks out.
Well, it was all that was over there. It was the only thing available. Yeah, that's it. All right, so I toned down that.
Is because of some Chinese linkage.
Nice. Dude, it feels so good to be right. Good job.
So it's not Lo Loming.
Good job with it.
I'm over here like an idiot saying Lo Loming.
That's the name of the game. That is Mispronouncing names is the name of the game here.
You know what's great, Joe, is wearing your ignorance on your sleeve. I find I become more and more like our dad every day in that way.
That's good.
Like,
I think it's good.
There's a liberation in just realizing how dumb you are in spite of your best efforts.
Yeah.
And then kind of just like going with it.
Laugh it off.
Finding humor in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, imagine trying to be like cool and smart and
story of my life. Story of my life.
Oh, exhausting.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It is. There was
that like button out there, you guys. We see you.
Thank you. Yeah, that goes back to the artists. I think our society sets us up for it. It almost seems like a booby trap from age 0. Is you get all of this, you get lavished with praise if you do a good looking piece of art, and that in itself is not a bad thing, but we easily take on this identity. I've talked about this many times, so I'm kind of a broken record about it, but where you feel like because you do a great product, you are an important, special person. That's the connection that I think is broken and dysfunctional. It's like, yeah, and so the more great work I do, the more special I am. And so artists get that broken way of thinking validated over and over. It gets reinforced, and then there's competitions. When you get into an art class and you're comparing whose work looks great, this person gets a compliment, you don't. And you're like, well, that's just not my style. You say defensive things, you try to protect it, and there's just not that freedom to say, to just talk about where you are in your work openly. Yeah. Be like, this is what I can do, this is what I can't do, and just have fun trying to work it out. It's just too connected with like who you are as a person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's kind of broken.
It's come to my attention. This is not in my natural way, but it's come to my attention how many people spend a large percentage of their life concerned with what other people are thinking about what they're doing.
Yeah.
And it's especially vulnerable, I think, when you're creating something,
Right. It is.
It needs to be taken into consideration because it's influential, in what you're doing and how you're going to do it. I'm not going to say it's a bad thing to be concerned about how people are responding or what they're thinking about what you're doing, your decisions, but also not going to say it should be your guiding light. I think
Ben, I hate to say this, but in my old age, I have come to understand that things come down to balance.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Absolute is like just such a tasty lie, like, oh, wouldn't it be great if black and white were just a thing?
Yeah. If you could always just be on the right side or the wrong side,
No ambiguity, no uncertainty, just okay, great. So everybody knows and everything is great. Love it.
Yeah. So then what that leads me to next is what are the most advantageous questions to ask in your pursuit of where your appropriate balance is? Like, okay, well, I don't know, that's a mouthful, isn't it? I'm just thinking like, I want to say that it's dysfunctional to get stuck in comparisons. However, comparisons are used in a helpful way. So it's good to delineate, I think, when comparing is helpful versus when comparing is being done for a dysfunctional reason.
Yeah. So we got 30 people in this room right now. All right. So I want to hear from at least like 10% of you guys. That's not too much to ask. We'll get 3 people at least. It would be great to know, what is it that you guys are attracted to about this picture right now? Because I keep seeing you guys talking about how much you like this picture. Meanwhile, Joe and I are over here in La La Land talking about something else.
Yeah,
What
we're
they
getting all
care about is
philosophical.
this picture is what is interesting right now. And I'm very curious. I'm genuinely curious. And I imagine Joe's very curious.
Yeah.
What is it
Yeah, I'm
about this
curious.
picture? If you could just analyze it in your brain and say, why do I just love this picture? That would be fascinating for us to know.
Yeah.
And you can put
I'm
it
gonna
in
see
that
if I
little
can
chat right there.
put
And
something
then we'll do more
relatable
of
in
it.
here.
It'll be an experiment. We'll just like make more of it.
Yeah. Just make
Right?
Let's
This
see.
is like an
I
instance
like
where
that.
caring about what people think about
Yeah.
your decisions matters, or how you can use it,
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
755 media is saying they're digging the clouds, the colors,
Nice.
right? So
Yeah.
colorful clouds, big thumbs up.
Okay. Nice.
Clouds.
Nice.
We have not yet reached too much awesome clouds.
No, we haven't reached that yet. Okay. Great.
I think I see a tree starting to get born.
Yeah. All right. Keep guessing.
Like an eagle perch. Make a little bald eagle perch.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Never mind. That is not a bald eagle perch.
Yeah. Well, it's good. I like the guessing. We gotta put the
Well, it's right now an armless, shoulderless, headless female figure. Or
yeah, you got it. You got
alien.
it. That's what it is. Or an alien. We could go either way.
Yeah,
we can make it either one. Yeah, it's in the uncanny valley. I love that word. I've used that a lot of times.
In here, Barry's saying they like the right hand side where the water enters. Barry's seeing some water up in this thing, Joe. You didn't even paint
nice.
water, and Barry's seeing your water.
Okay.
That's how much. Okay. That's how much your water just happens. Wow.
It just happens. It's instinct.
Like a little creek just started trickling in while he was painting. Raymond,
yeah,
what happened?
Yeah, Barry? It just happened.
Hey, Raymond says, because he's a newbie.
It does look like water.
You give him a lot of confidence.
Oh, nice. I appreciate that. Thanks for sharing that.
I think how you just go for stuff,
Yeah. Good.
What makes okay? Let's get into that. Oh, okay. So
yeah, sure. Let's get into it.
Jeannie are both into the grass.
Okay. I wanted to put a person in here, some kind of person that's just soaking it up for relatability's sake. I was thinking I want to put somebody just soaking in the it's not always a good, it doesn't always make the picture better, but it's just something that I felt like trying.
Yeah, no, it's giving Sound of Music vibes.
Yeah. Let's just leave it like that. If the feeling's there, let's just stop. Yeah. Okay. Ahead. Right here.
All right. John Kennedy just walked in the building. So
nice.
Late.
Welcome, John.
OMG.
Yeah.
Oh, Jeannie thinks a windmill might be rad. That would.
It would be rad. Yeah. That's a good idea. I like the idea of a windmill.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Jet Set is into birds. Maybe. Oh, dude, we could bang out a bird or two, real quick.
I'm telling you.
I think Joe do a bird.
CeeLo got me on the.
That's true. CeeLo called you out and then maybe left.
Why don't you?
CeeLo's still in the building. You better be watching.
Well, that's okay. No, it's fine. It's fine. It just.
Do. This is all he's gonna do for the rest of the time is mess.
No, I'm gonna stop at the silhouette because we can continue this. I just thought it'd be fun to throw it in to see if it's a fit, and I can use a familiar human anatomy for him. I got bottom triangular square, it's like a box like this. Top one is equal to it. Then I just plug shoulders onto the top one. Legs, top arms come down to this bend right here, roughly.
Okay. Well, you better paint that person instead of talking about painting that person.
Yeah, I just want. Yeah, we got stuff to do, right? Okay, but we could continue this.
There's a reason Bob Ross never painted portraits, you guys. There is a reason.
Right here. We'll just stop there. We're gonna leave this person in the uncanny valley for a while. And what we'll do is come back to it next live stream. We'll come back to it.
Maybe, Joe, how about this? The wind is blowing from over those hills. Over on the right side, uphill there, the wind is coming down over that hillside, right? It's blowing that sunset cloud right at you.
All right.
And it's grabbing a big, flowy, like triangular dress that this person is wearing that's just blowing way out to like the foreground kind of left area, right?
Dude,
And you
you're
don't want
getting
to paint all the body parts.
Dude, I'm feeling the cinema in that. you got that cinema vibe.
And then she's got like her back to the wind, and there's like wind coming over those grass. You know, there's
yeah.
I'm vibing. I'm there too. I'm there with you guys.
Yeah.
John Kennedy, are you there yet? I know you just walked in 5 minutes ago, but I would love it if you were.
Okay, there we go. We got some hand. We'll leave it at that. When we get back to this next live stream,
John Kennedy needs weeks for portraits, man. Weeks.
All right. Well, you know, this is just a silhouette. That's all it is. I just used a cheap pattern to get a believable silhouette together. You know.
Yeah. That close-up grass is getting a lot of attention too. That's pretty cool.
All right, that's cool. What do we say? Windmill? It was windmill.
Yeah, man. Turn that woman into a windmill. CeeLo's not even here.
No.
Bail.
All right. We're just going to leave that silhouette. That's going to be all it is. Okay. Silhouette for now. We'll just do that. We can adjust it. We can adjust it later. You know, it's just a space keeper.
It's you know what it is, Joe?
Huh.
You could make it semi-translucent, and now it's just like an instance of a ghostly figure.
Oh, what? This picture just took a turn.
Just take her down to like 50% transparency.
Yeah.
50% opacity.
Yeah. All right. Let's put more grass in here. Birds? You said bird? Let's do a bird. We could put a windmill too. I like the windmill idea. We're going to do that. We're going to put a.
Yeah. It's windy out there. There's a windmill. There's a flowy dress. And everybody already sees the dress. You don't even got to paint it. They see it.
The imagination just fills it right in, huh? All right. That windmill is looking a little bit rickety.
Inference is a powerful tool, you guys, in storytelling. Inference. You don't got to be so deliberate all the time. You know, you can just infer wind, and then the brain fills in the flowy dress.
Yeah, totally. Put little X's on there. Do that. Do some of these right here. Do some of these little.
Susan is having nostalgic thoughts of Angel of the North in England. That's what this makes her think of.
Oh, okay, nice. All right. I don't know what that is. We're going to have to look it up. Angel of the North. One of these days I'm going to get in trouble for not knowing what something is, because it's going to be like, are you living under a rock? How can you not know this? You know, maybe I share a little too freely.
At this point, Joe, like with the algorithms, we're all living under a rock.
We're all in the world we want to be in.
All of us, dude. We're like, hey, that's a great rock. I'm going to get underneath that rock. Underneath that rock.
Totally.
It'd be great if y'all could just keep me underneath this rock.
Okay, we got that little bit there. But
I'm feeling that. The paddles are cool.
Yeah.
A time for organic shapes, a time for parallel lines.
I don't have a way to go that direction gracefully. So I'm gonna do this because you do what you got to do, you know. There we go.
You know what's interesting, man? That picture just instantly gets so confusing the moment you turn it on its side.
I know, isn't that funny? Like your whole, that's the 180-degree rule.
Yeah.
Like a total disorientation.
It's like beautiful and tranquil and inviting this way.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And you just simply roll it 90 degrees and it's chaotic.
Nonsensical. Like, what is that? You start seeing the brush strokes instead of the picture.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Okay, let's put the generator. Like that. All right, there we got a windmill. This is energy connection. this picture got a little weird because it's like there's now like a face-to-face relationship. I didn't mean to do that, but it happened. So that's an issue that might have to be conquered later.
Yeah, dude. Now the flowy dress is just now you got to. You have to. You put a windmill in there, Joe.
It's the windmill. It's going to be what's
blowing on her.
All right. I like it. We'll do it.
It is a modern windmill, Leanne, a very modern, minimalist looking windmill.
Yeah, well, I don't have a lot of
legs. I've learned those are called.
Yeah. Okay. I don't have a lot of experience.
Single one. Does he know what hairpin legs are?
I don't know what hairpin legs are. But I was thinking from a structural sense, any engineer would use triangles to make a rigid tower. So I just, I just put it in there like that. All right. Let's do a little more grass. I'm going to loosen up from the details, get a little more of our grass, because that's where the Sound of Music vibe's coming from.
You don't want to put a big red robe around that woman.
I'm going to do it. Dude, I'm going to do it. Not red. Should it be red? Is that what you're feeling?
I mean, it would explode out of that green field.
Okay. All right. You said it. I'm not, my judgment's not.
Give me rust. Give me brick.
Rust.
No fire engines. Just,
Around here, we don't suntan, we rust.
That's right. We don't tan, we rust. Where you at?
Yeah. That's it. Seattle, I'm using I just now realized I'm using a different brush. Building. Yeah. Okay, we're putting grass.
Sorry, that was Vancouver, British Columbia.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, what's a border? You guys, what's a border? It's the same. Yeah, it's the same rainy hill.
That's it. Okay, we're gonna put some more of this grass on here. Get our vibes going. I want to see a more filled out fields. So I want the feeling of the expanse. You know what I mean? And we're gonna start putting the orange. This is where you start to see the ground. Right here. Because we're looking down into the grass.
Dude, that person is like levitating right now. They're doing like I'm saying there's some like ghostly stuff popping over there.
Yeah. Right? We could go that direction with it. I didn't mean to take it into the paranormal, but
no, it has potential. AF, my guy. This is paranormal.
I didn't know if it was going to go there, but it seems that
I'm going to have some nightmares over this. Actually, I think I'm going to be, you know what it is? This is like the best dream ever. You ever had a dream where you were just
you don't want to come out of it.
Surface?
Yeah.
Imagine if you were that body floating like shin deep in that grassy field, but your feet are like a foot off of the ground. This grass is like 2 feet deep, right?
Yeah.
Can you imagine the way that grass feels like tickling your feet as you float?
Yeah.
Like that person is.
Yeah. This is definitely not the kind of grass that has burrs and stickers and all that. It's not that kind.
Nah, dude, this is dream grass, man. No stickers.
That's it. I got out. I was driving through Oklahoma because I had bought a car across the country, and then I got out this beautiful little body of water by the freeway, tall grass all around it. Man, I didn't get 10 feet away from my vehicle where I was like dying to get back to it because of the burrs and the stickers. That was Oklahoma. Rude awakening, man. I was like, look, don't touch. It was the feel I got there. And then I tried to get back on the highway, and it was a toll thing, and there was this gate. And get this, I'm like in the middle of nowhere, not a soul around for miles. There's not even any cars driving on this highway. And this gate is asking me to put money in it to get back on the toll road. And it's like a vending machine out in the middle of nowhere. And I got no change. I got no cash. So what do you think I did? I'll give you one guess what I did. I drove around it. It's like it wasn't even blocking the way. I was like, why would I put money? So then I drive around it, and it starts going beep, 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 beep. Man, it was the weirdest thing.
As much of a fuss as it can.
Yeah. Like you're breaking the law, come back, pay. But I'm not coming back. I can't. It was the weirdest experience. So I drove away and just let it keep beeping out there by that stickery lake
itself.
and, yeah. That was a very strange experience.
Well, you know, Joe, I've heard it said that laws without enforcement are just ideas.
Yeah, they're just ideas. That's it. All right, we're doing red. Is that the final word? Red dress?
Yeah, man, do it.
We're going to put a red dress.
Rust dress.
Rust?
A
We can do
true
rust.
Vancouver flavored dress, if you please.
Yeah. Okay. We can do that. We can do any color.
Vancouver, dude. I want to be in Vancouver.
Okay. Is that a flavor? Is that a Vancouver flavor? The rust? Oh, yeah, because you rust, you don't tan. Yeah. Got it. All right. Let's do a rust color dress. I think you could do any color.
That's true. That is true. Leanne is noticing that windmill in the back with its clarity is bringing the background, which first appeared quite far, much closer now.
Ah, okay. Nice. All right. Whoops.
Otherwise, if it were that far, that is a massive.
Yeah, it's massive. It's huge. It's huge. Here's how we look. This little maneuver will make it instantly further. Check this out. Purple and yellow. Okay. Put a little white.
You put a little cloud in front of it.
No. We're just going to take the bottoms of the legs and we're going to chop them off. Because that's what really dictates the distance in a landscape like this, is where it touches the ground, like that. See, it takes it out over the horizon just like that. Then it's further away, and you're changing like a little 1/8 of an inch in a painting a lot of the time, but the influence that has is huge. Like the amount of distance that something changes with a tiny height change is really huge.
Zauberbaum says bloody brilliant. Mural Joe.
Hey, thanks a lot, my friend. That's a nice compliment.
Zauberbaum.
Okay. We're going to do a dress, but are you sure we want to make it? Do we really want to do the energy from the windmill blowing the dress?
You are a sovereign creative being, Joe. You make your world.
Do we really want to do that? Okay, I think
you turn that into a robot for all I care.
Well, if the windmill is going this way, the wind has to be. We've got the windmill dictating the direction, so we either have to make the dress blowing that way or this way, because we can't make it sideways and have the windmill like that. Now
it's seeming to me like it seems like the grass is all nice and perky over on the right, but maybe it's all mashed down where that person is like they were sleeping there for a while.
Yeah.
They've risen and are getting a good stretch.
Yeah, right. I got you.
After crashing out in that grassy spot and mashing down all that grass.
Totally.
So,
Okay. All right, here we go. We're going to start out with the basic shapes. We're going to put this blowing this way. It's going to twist like this as it comes off of that.
Here.
Yeah, oh, nice. I like it. Painting in the wind. That's good sound effect. That was really good. I actually felt that. I could feel the vibes from that. Okay, we want rust, so we're going to add a little bit of black to the orange. Take down the intensity just a little bit. All right. So now to get the wrinkles in this, I'm going to use my old braid pattern to start with. So we're going to go like this. I like using patterns. Helpful things. Braid pattern. You go like this, and we'll scramble this. We won't make it so exact. The first step with patterns is recognizing them, using them. Then the next step is randomizing them, because you want to get things to be. And I think that uncanny valley is it shows up real strong when we have overuse of a pattern. Like this, if I just left these in this kind of braided pattern, it's like, yeah, that definitely feels like it's blowing in the wind, but why is it so geometric? It just has like this odd vibe to it. I'm gonna do this. You got the braid pattern.
Red dress is a powerful thing,
Oh yeah.
I think the last time you saw a person in a red dress. Right?
Yeah,
You notice.
it's not. It's
Red dress
basically
clothing, that's loud. That is loud. That is a
it
loud
is.
entrance.
It's almost like a weapon. It can be used as a weapon.
Yeah.
You know, like you're not in control anymore because I'm wearing my red dress.
That's
It's
true.
like
It's the loudest thing in the room.
yeah, yeah, it
What can you
totally is.
possibly wear that's louder than a red dress?
Man. All right. So now we start kind of,
Red
making
sequin
these
dress.
red sequin dress. What? All right. Let's put a little bit of lighter colored highlights on this. We'll kind of rumple this part out a little bit. I'm going to add orange. Every time I lighten it, I need to also color it because white, here's something that kind of goes under talked about, I guess, is that white is a neutral. It's like adding black or gray. Same effect. It's a desaturator. So when you add white to
Like how
something,
you're just vibing with the floaty thing. Did you intend? Are you okay?
Floaty?
Now I'm confused. I'm
oh,
trying to
it's floating. It is. It's totally levitating, but that's not intentional. It's just what happened. It's just what happened, Ben. All
my
right, we're
brain
gonna
is
go.
just trying to it's trying to calculate. It's doing quantum calculation right now. I'm removing
Yeah,
possibilities from the universe as to what this may become.
yeah.
But
What in the world? What is
it's
going
now
on?
in a superposition is what it's called of potential outcomes where
Oh,
she's
okay.
neither grounded nor floating, but
Well,
maybe
we
both.
got to decide. We can decide what that's going to be. We can
Dude, I
decide.
listened to 2 hours on quantum physics, and I am a changed
Whoa!
person.
I'm telling you,
I
that'll
gotta hook
change.
you up. I gotta hook you up.
I listen to that regularly. We
Dude,
might be on.
some things are repeatable and observable and demonstrable out there that are nuts.
Did you look at the electron slit experiment's been around for 100 years. That's been around for 100 years. This is just a subject that people don't really love spending their hours talking about. You got to be a certain personality type.
Entanglement? Are you
Yeah.
privy to some quantum
Yeah.
entanglement?
I'm not going to claim to know why it exists, but what it does is
certainly is fun to think about, isn't it?
It tells us that we don't understand the makeup of our reality. We feel like we really understand some stuff because we learned how to push some buttons.
Something else is going on where it's like,
yeah,
wait, what?
Exactly. You're like we just know what works, but that's painting too. That's this painting right here. There's so much that I still don't understand, but this is a working model. It's like, hey, here is an explanation along with a pattern that gives me the ability to repeat my results. But it doesn't mean that it's the perfect truth. It just means that it's a working model that we could build and adjust as we learn more. That's kind of like the way science goes. It's, I think, honest science. Dishonest science says, no, if you don't fit it into this model, then you are on the wrong side of truth. That's the way you get treated in school a lot of the time. But if you're exercising questioning and developing ways to test and question the working model and adjust accordingly, then you're practicing real science. That's the way I approach my paintings. I'm looking for patterns that give repeatability, explanations that help me to remember why it looks like it's so, but that doesn't mean that it's absolute,
Well,
all right, what do you think?
Color science right now, as John Kennedy Wilson, I-Prep Pro parentheses points out.
Okay.
Red against the green grass compliments.
Dude, you said that. Ben, that was Ben's call. He said, "Oh man, I think red because against that green grass." That was exactly what you said.
And Round Brush Steve up in here saying, "Did I get to the party late?"
Yeah, but it's still going. All right, here we go. Let's figure out these legs now. We got a dress going back, and what are the sleeves going to look like on this dress? Let's do sleeveless at first and see how that goes. What do you think?
Sleeveless in Seattle. You see what I did there?
Sleeve. Oh,
job.
nice. That was good. I'm not so privy to movies, but I do know that one. So good job.
Tom Hanks.
Yeah. It took me a while. Sorry. Been much more satisfying if I was quick.
Tough crowd.
It is a tough crowd. Now we have the sun blasting this direction, so we really need to make sure we put some brightness on this, so this is going to need to be like, let's do some of the scrunchies. I don't know what you call these, we can call them scrunchies. Yeah, they're going to be scrunchies.
Yeah, the scrunchies.
Yeah, we're not going to get too detailed because imagination is going to do a better job than I can do with this, but we're going to get some bright colors because the sun is shining this way. And right now we don't have the person filled in at all. So that's definitely a very strange thing to look at. All right.
Yeah,
we're going to light this just like
ghost lady in a red dress and just floating across the field.
That's it. Yeah.
That's
Okay. I think
cool.
I think we're getting to the right level of brightness here. I don't want to get too much brighter because we do want a dark enough painting, a dark enough painting that we can still highlight it at the end. So I'm finding my wrinkles that I established, making them brighter, finding my spots that I put in
what's
there.
Interesting to me is my brain cannot yet sort out whether this person has their back to the windmill or their face to the windmill.
Well, it's just a silhouette, Oh, that is so weird.
And it's like
now that you said, now that you said it. But you know what could solve this problem? What would kind of solidify it is if we made a visible butt on the form, because we have that. So, well, not really, because then it would just like the wind. Either way, the wind's blowing it. Okay, I don't know. Let's do this. Let's lighten this because that'll bring that out forward, kind of bring these parts up like that. Kind of bring that way. Let's lighten this one. Okay. There we go. We got some light on our red dress. And I'm going to put back. I wanted this to be the back, like they're facing away, looking at the clouds, enjoying.
Yeah. I think most are in agreement with that.
Let's do more. I feel like I want more drama. Go like
more
this.
Drama.
Yeah. Let's get more.
Gotta hunger. And the only solution is more drama.
More drama.
Wait, I got a fever.
There we go.
And the only medicine.
What's that from? What are you quoting? I feel like you're quoting something right now.
Cowbell.
Or cowbell.
That's an epic SNL skit, dude.
Yeah.
The cowbell skit.
Okay. All right. Once again, do my old braid pattern for the wrinkles. We're gonna go little deal right there, little deal here, right there. Go down here.
Yeah, more billowing, man. More billowing. This is not a cocktail dress, Joe. This is a summer dress. We got fabric. Let me tell you. Fabric.
Let's really bump this up then. Yeah. We'll go like
Round
this.
brush once more. Leanne once more. Give us more dress.
More fabric. All right.
Cinch it like around the ribs, right? It doesn't start at the waist. It starts at the
ribs. Okay. That's good. Yeah. I didn't think of that. They don't have to do that. Yeah. Okay. Let's go with it.
Yeah. Billow that thing.
Yeah. And it goes like that.
Yeah. We smashing that like button now. Billow the hell out of that thing.
Come on. All right.
Round brush says super lady.
That's good. It is super lady now. Oh man.
Oh yeah, we haven't even put that long hair on there yet that Raymond's talking about. Or maybe she's
long hair. No, we can do hair. No, this is windy day, man. We gotta have the drama in the wind. We need the hair.
Let's get some stuff blowing in some wind, man.
Yeah. Come on. We're gonna billow this out. Okay, we gotta do the zigzag. Give me a minute to get my believable
There we
wrinkles
go.
in place.
Now
It's gonna billow right here. It's gonna go like this. Here's a bright spot. And here. Like
All right,
this.
while you billow this thing to bits, I'm gonna see if my wife left me any hot coffee. I'll be right back.
No, he's gotta get more coffee. You exhausted all of your endorphins, your creative endorphins. You need more. He's hitting the juice. All right, let's go like this. Bring this here. All right, I like the idea of hair. That's a good one. Put that in there. All right. Much more flowing dress. We got all kinds of movement in this thing now. All right, let's put a little bit of a suggestion of some skin tone here that we can adjust later. Let's put some darker shadows in here like this, because I want to make it not floating. We're going to put the standing in the grass. We're going to put a little bit of orange, yellow. Here we go. Put some of that, a little more of that orange. Maybe just a little touch of white now to highlight it where the sun might catch a little bit of it. Like that there.
Oh yeah, I tell you what, man. Now we got a story.
Yeah, we got a story. Yeah. Now we're gonna put some. You're getting a fresh look at it. You got fresh coffee. It's gonna totally change your perspective.
Well, the thing about the coffee
Makes you.
There was no more coffee.
Oh,
yeah,
that's sad.
You know, it's just
that's a sad
delayed
story.
gratification is a good thing. That's discipline in a nutshell. Is delaying gratification.
Yeah, you're gonna get it later. You're gonna make some later.
I'm gonna get my coffee later.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe I might treat myself to one of those tasty coffees too. I'm not talking drip in a machine.
Yeah.
I'm talking somebody going.
Because if you always
put a squeeze of some sugar in there, you know.
Yeah. If you always get it the very moment you want it.
$10 on it.
Yeah. I'm thinking of rabbits and the little, you know, like they've done experiments where they put
the little doot rabbit.
The marble in the feeder and they put drugs in it, you know, or maybe they use mice or rats, and you know, when you get something too quickly on demand, no delay in gratification. It does bad things.
It doesn't hit the same. It doesn't hit the same.
Yeah, after a while, you're like,
they've actually measured IQ. The Almighty, they have
measured IQ the ones that know.
Children. This is like a famous study that's been conducted, and I'm going to butcher this, but if anybody knows what it's called, let me know in this room of scientists. They measured the intelligence of children using a cookie test, where they were they give them a cookie and they say, if you can not eat this cookie for 5 minutes, then you'll be given another cookie. You know.
Yeah.
But half of the kids or whatever, a percentage of the kids just eat the cookie. They're like, these are very young kids. They're like, I'm gonna eat this cookie. And the ones that just sat there and held the cookie and stared at the cookie, associating delaying gratification with a greater future payout, were the more higher IQ of the children.
And then they got selected to work in an underground government facility.
And then they all disappeared for some reason. And
yeah.
They only
big payoff. Big payoff for intelligence.
All fighter pilots shooting bullets at each other. Pow.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. Now it's not floating. You know, we're standing. I just wanted to feel of standing in the field.
Yeah, she's grounded. Yeah. She's more grounded.
Yeah, it's grounded. It's grounded. Do we want hair?
Or he? At this point, I'm not just gonna assume. I'm not
gonna You can't assume. But I created it. I'm allowed to say she because I created this.
I think anybody in that red dress is gonna look pretty outstanding.
Yeah, even me. Okay, we're gonna have red dress, and okay, now
red hair.
The main body of the the main body of the hair is going to come down like this because it's kind of behind, But then we're gonna,
whipping
we
around.
got.
I like how it's whipping around. You got a piece of hair this way, a piece of hair that way.
Yeah, we're gonna put the edges of it, and this is one more instance of the ellipse pattern in nature, because it's the lightweight edges of a mass that blow with the wind. So in clouds, you get a lot of ellipses. The lightweight edges blow faster. Hair does the same thing. You see it everywhere. Once it is on your radar and you're looking for it, you're like, man, that pattern is really everywhere. Okay, we got the sun hitting, so we're going to have a reflection line. We're going to have an intense reflection line. Right there.
Yeah, I like it. We got ourselves a provocative image here, ooh, what a nice little sheen you got there, huh?
Yeah,
it's like instant hair sheen.
Little bit of yellow.
That happened in like 1 second.
Thanks,
hair sheen.
Yeah, just like that. It's just a matter of putting those colors on the right place.
You missed the hair sheen. Hey, Dak Goth says lighting and shading on those clouds, though, chef's kiss.
Hey, thanks, my friend. I really feed on those compliments. It's the way I measure my self-worth. So I appreciate it.
Joe's being is only as valuable as your guys' kind words. So good thing you say nice things. Otherwise, he's just gonna go cry in his bathtub later.
If we're being honest, there's an element of that, but we always try to have that not be true.
That grass up front for sure. Loving that grass. So the grass is cool. Let's think about the grass, because everybody loves the grass up front, right?
Okay, nice.
Why is that grass so cool? I've got some ideas. You guys tell me your ideas. Keeps Digging is into this stuff too. So we got dynamic in that grass, right?
Yeah, we got dynamic in it. Yeah.
Shapes. Yeah. We got highlight and shadow. I think it's all that dynamic.
Some things happen on accident. Other things are planned from the start, So it's interesting to hear people's reaction versus just saying what I painted. It's not always the same.
Well, gosh, man, what are we doing out here if not just trying to influence each other?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you're right. Okay, we got a little bit of goldish, reddish hair coming down.
Round brush, Steve, I am a talker. That's in my nature, dude.
That's it. Yeah, well, we didn't come here to be silent.
Yeah, and if I just get all quiet for extended periods of time, this is going to be a really lame experience for anybody. Or maybe it's debatable whether it gets worse if I talk.
People like different things, but I gotta say it makes me feel better, because when it gets quiet,
well, that's funny because that's precisely what Round Brush Steve said.
Yeah. Okay, nice.
And I quote, "The words allow Joe to paint so well."
Yeah, the conversation makes me paint better. It gives me energy while I'm working. When it's silent, I got to take breaks. I'm gonna take a break and think about this over a coffee. I'm gonna hit it now. I'm gonna hit that caffeine right now, this very second, no delaying. Yeah, and that happens a lot more when I'm alone. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is just I'm further and further detailing what I want to be the little reflections on this hair, catching the sunlight, because I kind of try to get them in place first. This is a place where the direction of your brush strokes really counts. That no interference with that expected uniform direction, that bar across the top that makes that it's very direction based. It's a shape pattern thing. It's not just a color. So you can easily throw it off by getting some diagonal crooked strokes in there.
Round Brush says that they enjoyed the complete lack of art talk sometimes. These talks are like the podcast.
All right, sweet. That's good. That's good.
Lack of art talk. What is art talk, Joe?
Using words like, oh, I like the way you balanced your composition with distant grays, and using terms that are not clarified in layman's terms, using a lot of them.
Juxtaposition of ambiguities there, Joe.
Yeah. That's art talk right there. Juxtaposition of ambiguity.
Way to finesse the negative spaces of the matrix.
The truth is, I don't actually have a lot of that vocabulary.
Your paradigm is very exclusive in the way that.
Remember, Ben, this is an international audience. You might be
human experience here with the coarse tool instead of a finely sculpted scalpel.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
This is for Round Brush Steve. This commentary is brought to you by fufuartists.com.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how to. I'm not a very good talker like that because I don't have a lot of the vocabulary. But when you hear it, you know it. You're like, oh, okay, they're talking over my head.
Yeah, well, Dalton here, he knows you need some more good vocabulary in this ballpark. So try this one. They've said thumbsiliumptiousness.
Nice. That's a good one. That's one we might reuse.
You really want to hone your thumbsiliumptiousness.
Is that a real thing?
The human form.
Yeah. Wow. Haven't heard that one. Okay.
Yeah, man. I think guys, I think where that comes from. I'm gonna speculate. I'm Joe's brother, right? We grew up together. I got some things to say on the issue. I think that
nice.
There's a reason Joe and I don't do like art talk. There's a reason why, and the most obvious one is we're not educated.
That's it. We're not educated. Barely.
Like we actually grew up without opportunity to get very educated. Education was not impressed upon us. It wasn't. We
could have applied for scholarships. As it turns out, my daughter.
But nobody said we should have.
It wasn't the culture we were raised in.
Yeah, right. So, we therefore grew up with like a disregard for establishment thinking. Because
which you got to kind of work you got to work that out and
just navigated through curiosity and experimentation. And so anything we can do today is just because we figured it out.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
and that's why Joe, like you were talking earlier about mixing colors on the canvas. Yeah, that's why Joe just mixes color on the canvas because why not?
I saw my brother. I've told this before. I saw Pete do it. Pete did it when we were in high school art class, and when I was 25 years old and just starting to paint murals, I remembered how he did that, and he just did it on a whim, as like an experiment of a technique. But I was looking at gallons of colors and wondering what in the world am I going to do to mix, and so I didn't have like a palette for that scale. I just started putting them on the canvas, remembering what Pete did, and it stuck. It just stuck with me. I've done it ever since. That was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah, Pete's painting is rad. I love Pete's
style. No, man.
Whenever I visit Mom, I always see him up all over the wall. I'm like, geez, dude, this is cool.
Oh, he really has a very distinct vibe.
I got a painting of my own dog from him. He's got his crazy abstract style.
Yeah.
It's got that Van Gogh energy, like modern Van Gogh energy.
Pete was like, I was working on something for a paying customer, and he's like, why do you got to make it look so real?
Yeah, he just gets bored. He's like,
come on,
up, dude.
I got hired to do it, Pete.
Why do you make everything so pretty all the time?
It's like, man, why don't you just like loosen up? I think he said something. Thanks, brother.
Yeah, it's real fun having a bunch of artists all in the same room going up.
Yeah. Man, do you remember the
to watch us from an outside perspective?
Verbal chaos, communication chaos is what occurred.
Man, we all had all these crazy feelings and ideas, and none of it made any sense to anybody, much less us ourselves, you know,
Yeah.
just all getting
Yeah.
fired every which way, all without aim or purpose.
Yeah.
Just
An
what's
argument.
going on? I don't know. I don't know what to do. It's crazy. It feels crazy.
I just know that you're wrong. We knew that, you know, I think the super potent ingredient was that we were all very convinced that we were right all the time. Just really convinced, really convicted.
Well, learning felt great. You know, when we could learn a thing, we were like, oh, that's awesome.
I think when you're someone that feels a lot, we felt kind of above and beyond what's typical. Our range of emotion was probably like extra heavy dose. And it was like the conviction level was so high that when we got into an argument about potatoes, it was the end of the world, you know?
Hey, open up that camera, widen out a little bit for me. I want to watch you paint the top of that canvas.
Yeah, thanks. Let's get that. I'm standing up now because
keeps digging 7 is imagining flowers.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah, man, that's like nothing. Putting flowers in. I'm gonna show you. That'll be the last thing. Let's make that the last thing, because I bet we're short on time. Are we, Ben?
Hey, it's about 10:15, 10:25
yeah.
Pacific time.
Yeah, about time. We could continue this on the next live stream. We could add more if there's ideas. You know, it's just it was on a whim.
Yeah,
made this
so
one.
Hair is popping. We got.
Flowers. Look, perspective. Right?
Dare I say we got ourselves a magical scene here unfolding.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks. Okay, remember what I was saying about painting dark so that you can have room for highlights. So if I had blasted out all of my greens using green paint or a blue and yellow mix, remember I used black and yellow. And what that does, these greens allow me to put primary colors like orange and yellow on, and it's dark enough that these are going to be bright colored flowers in contrast, right? So I'll space them apart. We're going to get bigger and further apart as we go down in the picture. See that perspective happening there? And then let's get some orange. We'll put some orange where I'll just put it kind of at the lower base of each one of these little dots. We'll turn them into maybe poppies or some, maybe just a couple little touches on each one. We'll turn them into some kind of flower. But the key component here is that they're bright. See, if you have a really bright scene and then you decide later, I'd like to have some bright flowers, you can't, because you already made your paint as bright as it can go. So working dark is really to your advantage if you want to leave room to add little highlights as you go. I can even put red flowers. Red flowers are among the most difficult because red's a dark color. And in nature, we can see extremely vibrant reds that we don't have a paint for that. We don't have a red that's that bright in our palette, so we have to make the rest of the picture dark. You know, just look at a photograph of a red light. The rest of the photo has to be so dark to actually put the color red in that light. If you take a picture of a red sun or something like that, everything else is just a silhouette. So to handle that in a painting, you work dark. So watch this. I'll take my orange. I'm going to strategically go over my dark colors where I know that my reds will show up.
I'm going to cue you guys into a little secret. Anytime Mural Joe says, hey, watch this, under his breath and very quickly in passing, that's a good cue to watch this. Something awesome about to happen.
Thanks. Thanks, man. We're going to put some red poppies in there.
It's when he's in rhythm and doesn't even realize it. That's when you're like, oh, this is flow. This is creative.
Yeah.
Here we go.
That's interesting that you cued in on that. I didn't pick up on that. I never would have said that, what you just said. But
watch this.
Yeah, I'm getting excited about
like
what I'm. That's true.
Before he pops that wheelie, he
watch this go. It's like yeah, it's wanting to share your excitement with somebody. You know what I mean? That's what it is. Okay, now I'm going to make orange highlights, not red highlights. We're going to go to orange highlights because orange can get lighter at a higher saturation level than red can. So we're going to add white to the orange like this. This will be a much better highlight for my red flowers because it'll have lots of color to it. So I added a little white, not a ton of white, and that little highlight, just put a few little dabs. It'll kind of smear into the red while it's still wet. We don't need details to make these look like flowers. That's not what makes them look like flowers. It's the relationship of colors.
Yeah, we're feeling the red flowers, man. Feeling them.
All right, good.
Not only are the little red flowers beautiful in their own right, but they also connect the red-dressed woman to the scene. They make it all belong.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
You know?
I didn't think of that. I was just following the suggestion.
It brings connective tissue between setting and subject.
Yeah. Well, if she was out for a photo shoot, she might do that on purpose.
Which gives feelings of harmony.
Oh, there you go.
Right? So now it suddenly feels just the most safe, beautiful little pretty place, fantasy land to just go float across shin deep in some green grass.
That's it.
This is where she belongs. You know? This is red dress lady land. Somewhere near.
Yeah. We got it. Maybe on the next live stream we can throw in. Feels good to just let that out. You just got to say it like it is, Ben.
Yeah. Round Brush is summoning the great David Attenborough. That's ridiculous. There is no other David Attenborough. Love that dude, man.
What's he famous for? What's David Attenborough?
Attenborough, the narrator of all the Planet Earth stuff.
Oh,
okay. Man who
that's the magic. Yeah,
quite fascinating.
You could, it doesn't even matter what you say if you got a voice like that. Anything you say is perceived.
Gently blows from across the hills.
Yeah, right. And that guy could say, "You might as well give up now, because life truly means nothing." And everyone would be like, "Wow,
you
that's true.
A worthless human being."
And it would be true because of what he said. And then on the other hand, you can be like, "Don't give up. The race is not over."
Beautiful. Yeah. What therefore shall you do?
That's funny. It is exactly like that. All right, we got a field of red flowers. Like that. Field of red flowers back there. I added a lot of white, because that's my atmospheric.
They don't only grow up here close to the lady. They happen to be out there too.
Yeah. Yeah, we got the red flowers.
Dude, they are thick out there too. That is a patch.
Well, I mean, that's like a football field at distance.
Oil and sun right there on that particular hill.
Well, I think what you have to realize is how much distance we're covering. Like this one little brushstroke here is covering.
That's 20 acres of red flowers you just did.
That's it. Yeah, it's a lot. It goes back and back on the horizon. All we got to do is just stay in line with the perspective we've chosen. Just mind the perspective, and it'll just snap in like it belongs.
Okay, right into place. There you go.
Okay, we got to stop.
All right.
That's it. That's it. We can add more to it on the next live stream. We can do more.
All right. Very inspiring session, Raymond says.
Sweet. That's it.
We've heard that before. Thanks for the inspiration, Joe.
Who's 99?
David Attenborough.
Oh, he's 99. Wow. Yeah, does he still narrate?
I mean, the last thing he did was maybe like 5 years ago, and he sounded like Johnny Cash, man.
It's just a good classic. Once you've been established by society as that voice too, there's brand power. You can't break it.
Well, if the sound of you talking is musical, chances are you're going to be talking for a living,
Yeah.
That like Morgan Freeman kind of a thing,
Boy, it's expensive to get that voice, I bet.
Yeah.
I bet it costs. All right.
Well, maybe in the next life I'll have a liquid smooth voice and live a life of narrating things.
Yeah. We got a different Phil.
My voice still cracks like a teenager, and I'm 43.
Yeah. And mine sounds like I'm 75. So, yeah.
I was a
There you
chain
go.
smoker, actually.
Yeah, yeah. Early expirations, probably because of in our band days. That probably didn't help.
Yeah, that's true. We screamed our guts out into microphones for a solid 10 years.
Thanks, Leanne, for saying hit the thumbs
Yeah,
up.
yeah. Thanks for the compliment. And well, it's been fun seeing you guys. Great painting. Happy Saturday.
We're out.
Peace.
We're out.